The feedback you write as a mentor coach will shape how your client develops as a coach. It will influence how they feel about their own growth, and it will reflect how they experience the profession. That's the weight of this work. The ICF Evaluation Feedback Guide establishes the standard. Every claim you make in feedback must be anchored to specific behavioral evidence. Not impressions, not feelings about the session, evidence you can point to. The ICF Evaluation Feedback Guide establishes the standard. Every claim you make in feedback must be anchored to specific behavioral evidence, not impressions, not feelings about the session, evidence you can point to and another professional could verify. MC Competency 5.3 says you offer feedback and observations to help the MC client identify coaching strengths and areas for development. Notice strengths and development areas, not just gaps, not just praise, both. The feedback guide governs how evaluative feedback is written, whether for credentialing assessments, performance evaluations, or mentor coaching. It's the professional standard. When your feedback is grounded in evidence, your MC client can go back to that exact moment in their recording and study it. When it's vague, they know you had an opinion. They don't know what to do about it. 5 core principles from the feedback guide. Evidence anchoring. Every statement references a specific moment. Timestamps are the gold standard. Direct quotes are equally strong. Without them, feedback is opinion. Mandatory minimums, 2 competencies as strengths, 2 as development areas, all with behavioral evidence. This ensures feedback is balanced, not a list of what went wrong, and not a congratulations card. Competency-referenced language. Name the competency. Cite the behavioral marker. Not the coach asked a good question. What makes it good? Which competency? Third-person framing. The coach demonstrated, not you did well. Professional distance makes development feedback less personal and more actionable. Strength-based entry. Begin with the stance that this is a qualified coach. That's the ICF's recommended pre-evaluation position. Before you press play on a recording, the feedback guide recommends a 6-step self-check. Check your mindset. Are you neutral? Start with the strength-based stance. The coach I am evaluating is a qualified coach. Listen to how the coach responds, not just what they say. Notice triggers and biases. Listen for skill, not style. Collect evidence during the session, not after, and provide feedback with positive intent and a constructive tone. These 6 steps create the conditions for feedback that's fair and developmental. These 6 steps are not a formality. They are the difference between feedback that lands and feedback that triggers defensiveness. When you sit down with a recording already believing the coach is competent, you listen differently. You notice strengths you would have skipped if you were looking for problems. And that changes everything about what you write. Here's what evidence-based strengths feedback looks like. The coach opens the session by asking what the client wants to focus on. The client says, I want to talk about my team. The coach responds, what specifically about your team would be most useful to explore in our time together? Then follows, and what would make this conversation valuable for you by the end? Your feedback. Timestamps, 1:15, 1:42. The coach partnered with the client to define the session focus and desired outcome. At 1:15, the coach moved from the client's broad topic to a specific focus area. At 1:42, the coach invited the client to define measures of success. This demonstrates effective contracting that centers the client's agenda. Specific timestamps, observable behaviors, competency alignment. no subjective quality judgment. Now, development feedback. Same session between minutes 18 and 24. The coach solves the client's problem, 3 specific suggestions for how to approach a director. Your feedback, timestamps, 1845, 2012, 2130. Between 1845 and 2130, the coach offered 3 suggestions for approaching the director. While relevant, this shifted the dynamic from coaching to advising. To enhance alignment with Competency 7.3, the coach can consider asking the client what ideas they have already considered or what has worked in similar situations. This creates space for client-generated solutions and builds confidence in their resourcefulness. Evidence, competency-referenced, developmental language, a specific alternative the coach can try. Watch the difference when we move from development areas to development guidance. Vague, the coach could improve their questioning skills. What is the coach supposed to do with that? Which questions? In what context? Improve how? Evidence-based, at 1420, the coach asked 3 consecutive closed questions when the client was exploring a new idea. Consider experimenting with open questions that follow the client's language. Something like reflecting back the client's phrase and adding, what else is there? That is actionable. That is anchored. The coach knows exactly what moment you mean and exactly what to try differently. 2 mistakes to watch for. Writing feedback without timestamps. The coach asked powerful questions tells the coach nothing. Which questions, where, what made them powerful in competency terms. Providing only strengths or only development areas. The ICF requires both, minimum 2 each. Feedback that's all strengths signals a pass. All development signals a fail. Neither is developmental. Strengths tell the coach what to keep doing. Development areas tell them where to focus. Both are necessary. The second mistake, providing only strengths or only development areas. Feedback that is all strengths signals a pass. Feedback that is all development signals a fail. Neither is developmental. The ICF requires minimum 2 of each, supported by behavioral evidence, because balanced feedback is what serves growth. The engagement exercise asks you to write complete feedback for recording A, the session you analyzed in Module 4. The evidence you collected there becomes the raw material here. You know what to include. You know how to anchor feedback in evidence. But there's another dimension that separates developmental feedback from judgmental feedback, the language itself. Specific words and phrases that either open a coach to growth or shut them down. That's where we go next.